Hey everybody, this is Chris Irving in Kratom Kingdom, and today I want to talk to you about a very important subject. What are doctors actually saying about Kratom? There's two types of doctors. There's doctors that are looking at it from the data, empirical evidence side, which is useful, and then there's also those doctors that use it as an anecdotal side. They're the ones that work in the rehab hospitals trying to get people off of heroin and narcotics, and they're finding that they're having no success doing it. The recidivism rate for opiate addicts is very high, and it's unacceptable because people are spending thousands and thousands of dollars on these fancy rehabs only to have their family member relapse. So then here comes this thing called Kratom that might help. One doctor says, no, we shouldn't use it because it's the same thing as heroin. The brain has a bunch of different receptors, and some of those receptors, like, bind to aspirin or bind to Tylenol or acetaminophen and relieve pain throughout your body. And the right parietal part of your brain is your opiate receptors. And opiate is a chemical that's been used for thousands and thousands of years, both for recreational use to get euphoric and for pain relieving. And the good side is it's a very, very good pain reliever, but the bad side is super, super addictive, and so addictive, in fact, that more people die from it than are actually helped by it. And the FDA knows this, but the FDA also knows that Kratom, if used correctly, will bind to those same receptors in your brain, the opiate receptors, via a chemical in Kratom. It's an alkaloid, which an alkaloid is the same thing as like caffeine and coffee. It'll bind, this alkaloid called nitrogenous speciosa will bind to those opiate receptors. So one doctor will say, well, if it binds to the opiate receptors, it must be an opiate, right? No. An opiate is an opiate. Nitrogenous speciosa is not in an opiate. Opiates are in opiates. However, they say, well, what other chemical binds to opiate receptors? Chocolate, caffeine. I mean, the list goes on. You see, so, and they're not gonna make chocolate illegal or the world would end. So the doctors on the one side that are against it say we just don't have enough data on it yet. And the doctors that are for it are saying, yeah, you're absolutely right, it's unacceptable. Why do you not have any data on this particular substance that works, that gets rid of pain, is 50% less addictive than opiates, and 90% easier to get off of than opiates? The withdrawal is still not easy, but it's easier than withdrawing from opiates, because opiates give you so much euphoria, and Kratom is negligible with the amount of euphoria you get from it. I mean, if you're using it to get high, you're using it for the wrong reason. For instance, people like me, and like a lot of you, especially the Kratomites that I've been talking to for the last couple of years, we use it because we have chronic pain, and Kratom is the perfect way to get off of, to deal with our day with chronic pain. Like right now, I'm dealing with a migraine headache, and I'm able to do this vlog today because I have Kratom. People aren't dying to get Kratom, but people are dying and selling their bodies to get hydrocodones, oxycodones, morphine tablets, heroin. So the people on the one side, the side that I tend to be on, say, well, FDA, if you don't like kratom, you only don't like it because you don't know enough about it. Well, put some money into it, study it, find out if we can just get mitragyna speciosa and make a pain reliever out of that. But they have some crazy statistic that says 98% of the people that use kratom are doing it to get high. I don't agree with that at all. Another statistic taken by other doctors that deal with addicts and addiction and stuff like that say it's only 65%. Well, hell, 100% of people are using morphine and opiates and heroin to get high. So 68% to 99% to 48%. That's a pretty big difference in evidentiary statistics. So that's got to be looked at more carefully. They should be breaking down mitragyna speciosa and finding out what it is and what about it that makes pain go away, that binds to your opiate receptors. And maybe learn something about a new holistic medicine that's been used for years and years and years, but it didn't come from a chemist lab, so it must not be good. Test it on animals, test it on humans. I'll volunteer. And make it age appropriate. I agree it should be only for 18 and above. Sorry kids, but sometimes your brain isn't developed enough to understand the ramifications of what you might be doing. And most kids that would take it because they heard from another friend in high school that, man, this stuff will get you cracked out. It'll lift you so high you won't. And that's just not true. It did me the very first time I took it, but I had no tolerance for it at all. And I felt warmth, I felt euphoria, I felt happy, I felt like nothing mattered, and that was all great. But then I also realized, wow, I don't really have a headache anymore, or my body doesn't hurt so much anymore, and I have more energy. So I'm a logical person, even though I'm half brain dead. And I weighed it, is it better to be out of pain or to be euphoric? F the euphoria. I want to be out of pain. That's euphoric for me. And, so I tend to agree with the side that says we need more research. The FDA needs to do their job and actually study it, not just do these statistical anecdotal studies of how many people's opinions on kratom. That's just like the opinion that all people that come from across the southern borders are rapists and criminals and from mental hospitals. Bullshit. I don't buy that. I don't buy people's opinions. I've studied psychology long enough to know that opinions are based on ignorance and hate. My own little brother, we grew up in the same house, same parents. I am very much an opponent for Harris and Walls. My brother, for some reason, says his hero is J.D. Vance because he wrote a book called Hillbilly Elegy, so he must be, and I'm like, I can't even talk to him about it because he gets so riled up, and he becomes like a MAGA person and just spews hate and lies. And then when I explained to him, Jeff, J.D. Vance admitted if he has to lie to get the media to see something, he will lie. Right there, that should disqualify him from the race right away, from normal Americans. But if we're crazy Americans that are just dictated by hate and cruelty and no love in our heart, I feel so much empathy for these people that have walked from Venezuela all the way across South America to get to the border and then are called rapists and murderers without even given a chance to become a citizen. And the poor Haitians, they did nothing. They were invited here. And when we brought them here, we gave them jobs. They proved that they can work really hard. They keep their families tight. They're very religious Christian people. And it was proven they do not eat dogs and cats. Actually, the guy that stole the duck from the pond was a old native citizen of Springfield, Ohio. It wasn't a black person. It wasn't a Haitian. It was an American citizen born and raised in America who stole the duck because he was hungry. And then people that get their information from Facebook, I mean, come on, that just shows where your intelligence lies. If you're going by what some moron on Facebook says, it just shows you're a moron too. And I'm sorry if I've offended anybody, but I call it as I see it. And I'm calling it like that because Project 2025 is scaring the hell out of me, because what they want to do is take away my entitlement that I paid into for my entire life through hard work and paying my taxes and through my dedication to this country, because I love it and I think it does amazing things. It's an experiment that was actually proving to be positive, and more countries around the world were following our example and having voting in presidents. And then all of a sudden we get this guy who wants to be a dictator, and they want to get rid of Social Security for all elderly people. They want to drop it by 50% and say, nope, you guys can't take care of yourselves, you should just die. And for me, I would just die. If I don't have my blood medicine every day, I will die. And that scares the hell out of me. I don't want to die yet. I still feel like I have something useful to offer the world. So anyone that's going to vote for Project 2025 has no love in their heart, has no empathy in their heart, doesn't care about me, doesn't care about your parents, doesn't care about your kids. I mean, you just care about hate, and you want more money, more greed. And that's how I see Project 2025. I'm not even going to get into global warming, the name calling, the lowering of the character of our country. Americans are now the joke of the world because of one person and because of one group of people. Proud Boys, step down and go away. Because I believe in 2024, America's going to come to its senses and say, we're going to do what's right for all American people. Those that are here now and those that will be here in the near future. We have hearts, we have love, we have God, we have morality, and we want the American dream. That's why we're all here. I bought my first house at 25. And that was under the Obama administration, which most people on the other side say Obama was the worst president that ever. Under Obama, I bought a house, 2 new cars, bought my wife a car, had an amazing career as a teacher, making enough money to do all the things I wanted to do. I traveled the world. I mean, I went all over. I went to Bahamas, Mexico, Costa Rica, Canada, just all kinds of places because I wanted to see the world, and I did, and I'm very proud of that. At 33 I had this massive stroke, which was not fair from by no fault of my own, just my genetics maybe. And I'm a little overweight. I mean, I could lose 50 to 100 pounds and still, and that would be what I should be. That's what I would weigh before I had my stroke. I wasn't heavy before my stroke because I mountain biked every day. I was a strict vegan, believing in animal rights and compassion for animals. I could not, in good faith, eat a cow that was being pumped full of antibiotics or pigs that lived in these little tiny cages and were fed garbage. I mean, it's the way things always have been because farmers were learning, I mean, in the early 1800s, they were still learning, what is best to feed a pig. Well, in developing countries like the Philippines, they feed them what they've got, which is usually not very much. And so they'll give them the trash from their meals, which is probably rice, egg. I mean, we know animals need to have protein, carbohydrates, and vitamins and minerals too. I mean, I wouldn't feed my dog just kibbles and bits because this is garbage. I wouldn't eat it, so why would I feed it to my loving pet, Oliver? I wouldn't. I see the world as common sense and people that are rebels just because they have hate in their heart. So, in summary, there are good doctors that see the potential in kratom, which is why it's still on the market. Then there are other doctors that are saying, hey, we need to study this a little bit more, because we could be turning out something that could really hurt Americans, and we don't want to do that. I mean, that's a doctor's main purpose, is to do no harm. And they take the Hippocratic Oath, and every doctor I've ever met lives by that oath. So, to do no wrong. And if kratom needs to be studied more, I hope they do. I know there are some very good chemists at some very big universities that are studying it, breaking it down, studying its effect on the brain, studying its effect on your blood, studying the effects of it on your kidneys. I notice that it's affecting my kidneys because I'm dehydrated, because like coffee, it's a diuretic, so you usually urinate out whatever water you're getting from the tea because it's a bladder stimulant like coffee is. And funny enough, kratom and coffee come from the same family of plants, but coffee grows on a bush and kratom grows on a tree. It's just the leaf. It's like going outside of your oak tree, picking off the leaf of the oak tree, grinding it up into a powder. And of course we know oak leaves don't have any magical powers in them whatsoever. So what makes this kratom tree have magical powers that heal? And my pharmacist screwed up, and they were supposed to send me my antidepressant medication today. Well, now they're telling me it won't be there till Monday because of the weekend. So I'm going to be without antidepressant for the entire weekend, and that could throw me into a suicidal loop. Not only that, but my anti-seizure medication that I have because of the big hole in my brain right there. Well, right there, actually. And so in order for me to stay calm, cool, and collected and relaxed, I drink copious amounts of kratom. It works for me. I can be without an antidepressant and an anti-seizure medication if I take kratom. We're all different. We all have different physiology, so what it does to me might be different for you, but in order to know, you've got to try it out. And I recommend trying it out in small dosages first. You have to add a citric acid to it, like lemon juice or orange juice or grapefruit juice, because what that does is it helps the mitrochinus speciosa bind to those opiate receptors in your brain. Otherwise, it just skips your brain, gets in your blood, and you piss it out. You need citric acid. And there's a whole bunch of other potentiators out there. If you look at one of my 400 videos that I've made on Kratom, because I basically dedicate my life to it and to helping people out in America or around the world using it. I don't want to go into this again, but unfortunately I'm in some very dire times. My car's starter is now not working, and I don't have the money to fix it. And without my car, I can't take my mom to doctor's appointments. I can't take myself to doctor's appointments. I can't get to the pharmacy to pick up our medication. I can't get to the grocery store to pick up our groceries. And to have all that stuff delivered is really expensive. A starter would be much cheaper. I'm estimating I need about $200. I've got a GoFundMe link in the description of this video, and it would be so helpful if somebody could drop 5, 10, whatever. One of you surprised me and dropped $50 in there, and I couldn't believe it. I had to look at it like 30 times. I mean, which that actually bought me and my mom food for the entire month of October, because we don't have any. I mean, I have to spend money on medicine and doctor's appointments more than food. You know what I mean? Poor people have to make these kind of choices, and I'm a very poor person. So if you would just look at the GoFundMe link, and if you have anything to offer or to help me and my mom out, that would be wonderful. If not, I understand. I still love the fact that you guys are watching my videos. I do this as a passion of love, not to make money off of it. I hate asking for money. I have no family left. I have no friends in the world. My last friend just died of leukemia last week. I mean, every single friend I've ever had since I was 20 years old is now deceased. One from a heart attack, one from cystic fibrosis that he was born with, and the last one from leukemia. It's just not fair. And then me, I dropped dead at 33 from a massive stroke, was dead for about 45 seconds until they unfortunately brought me back half paralyzed and horrible brain damage, cognitive dysfunction, terrible personality changes. Everyone in the world that has known me now thinks of me as a burden because I am almost incapable of taking care of myself, and my wife kicked me out of her life because she didn't want to. She said she didn't sign up to babysit her husband. You know, her husband was supposed to take care of her. And while I was making equal money as her and able to provide for her, and when it came down to it, the vows of sickness and in health didn't mean anything to her. Her life was about what benefited her. And I still love her dearly, and I can't blame her. I mean, I would not throw another human being that I loved, so-called loved, out the door with nothing, taking his house, taking his 401k, taking his $65,000 worth of equity that he had she had in the house. I would at least share that with her or him. But my wife didn't think that way, and just took it all, made a new life for herself. And I feel bad for her because karma is real, and I don't know what's going to happen to her. But it's going to be bad, so I don't know. And my family, my sister married a jackass who doesn't like me because he was my age, which is 10 years older than my sister, when he married her, or when he got her pregnant. She was like 18 and he was like 30 something, and or 28, and he had no job, no future, no motivation for a real job, no motivation to take care of his family. It was so bad that they had to move in with my mom and dad and use everything that they had. And they continued to do that until my father just passed away in December. And all the help that they received from my mom and dad, they did not. After my dad died, they tried to take advantage of my mom. They tried to move their 20-year-old children into the house, saying that they were going to inherit this house, leaving me with no inheritance at all. And my mom, I can't blame her. She was mentally ill from losing my father and her 9 strokes. So and plus she's 80 years old. I mean, dementia is real. And she signed some bad papers that my sister kind of bullied her into signing, giving me nothing and giving my nephews everything. The house that was paid for. So now I'm living in my nephew's house on a waiting list, waiting for government housing to come available so I can move into some place that I can afford off of my low disability payments and continue to get the medical care and health care that I need. And my only thing that I have right now that is useful in my life is my computer and my car, and both of them are on their last legs. So I'm fighting desperately to fix my car and to keep it running. The car that I owned when I moved to Knoxville to my parents' house was brand new because I was always under control. I always planned for the future. I always had new, because I didn't want to be stuck in a situation like I'm stuck in now. But as soon as I moved to Knoxville and I moved into public housing, it was obviously not in the best neighborhood and not the best people living there. Somebody broke into my apartment, stole my car keys off my wall, went out to my car, drove off with it, wrecked it, and I've never seen it again. So my dad's car was still in the driveway of my mom's house, and my mom's like, "You can drive that." But in the meantime, I gave my sister $2,000 she said she had a good friend who had a car for me that was drivable, ready to go. Just give me $2,000. I gave it to her from the little bit of inheritance that I had. And the guy never came through. I never got the car. I never got he said, "Well, I'm going to give you the money back, so I'm going to give the car to my daughter when she's 16. So far, he's given me $300 out of $2,000. And I have to save that $300 for if an apartment does come up, I need to rent a truck. I need to rent a handyman, because I am certainly not capable of moving things like my bed, my 100-inch TV that I took from my last life, and when they stole my car keys, they also stole my $6,000 laptop computer that I was using originally to make videos with, my cameras and everything. So I am working now with cell phones and a 2013 Mac, which I love because it still works great, but it's not going to last forever. Holy crap, I just went to a half hour. I'm so sorry, you guys. Thank you for listening. If you feel me, if you can relate to my situation at all, check out my description and the GoFundMe, and I would appreciate anything you can do. And if you can't do anything, I understand, and I still love you anyway. Thank you, and I hope you got something from this video. Thank you, Kratomites. Love you all. Peace out.